Bitcoin's downward spiral has just continued to as low as $79,000 as altcoins are in a complete bloodbath, and many people are wondering, is the cryptocurrency bull market actually over, or is this another buying opportunity? What's up guys, it's Crypto Dave here with the top tier, and chances are you've lost a lot of money in crypto here in the last couple of weeks or months, and you're probably very fearful that the market is not going to rebound anytime soon. So what I'd like to do today is take an objective top-down approach, present a bull case and a bear case, and ultimately discuss my thesis and strategy. And guys, if you enjoy this type of market commentary, definitely subscribe to the channel. Tick the little bell, you'll get notified every single time we post. And if you want my full strategy and updates in real time, you can join our premium Discord down in the description below. But guys, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. It's important to set the stage here for this video because a lot of people are in very opposite camps. This is either a juicy bull market correction or this is the beginning of the bear market. And I don't see too many people in the middle of either thesis. And that can be very challenging because you want to deploy capital at nice discounts and make those outpaced returns that you're looking for, but you also don't want to be sinking in a bunch of capital at the beginning of a bear market. With well over $2 billion liquidated from the market in the past few days, chances are you are sitting with your capital, whatever you have left, and you have no idea what you need to do. We're also in some pretty important territory as far as market sentiment is concerned. We have the fear and greed index sitting at a 16, currently in that extreme fear spot, and you'll notice that we only spend about 11% of all trading days below that 25-point score on the index. But is this actually a nice opportunity, or is this going to lead to further downside? Well, we just discussed the first point in my bull case, which is that there is blood in the streets, and it is always a nice rule of thumb, if you've got some capital sitting on the side, to deploy some capital into the markets whenever there are mass liquidations, big capitulatory candles, and ultimately a ton of fear in the market. When you see that blood is in the streets, it's usually a great time to position yourself accordingly, and that is the first reason that we could be potentially bullish on the market in the next few months. I'll also redirect you to our performance since cycle lows model, examining Bitcoin's entire market cycle from the moment it bottomed in November of 2022 all the way up into current day. And we can see that we are very much underperforming our last two cycles. That leads me to believe that we could have plenty more room to run in terms of percentage returns, as well as the time frame. We can see that most bull markets tend to have that end in Q4 of the year following the halving. So the 2016 halving produced a bull market that went through to December of 2017. The 2020 halving produced a bull market that went through to October of 2021. And now here we are with the 2024 halving producing a bull market that could potentially last until the end of 2025. And we know that deep corrections are very common. Even in a bull market, we see Bitcoin correct 20, 30, sometimes 40%, and this is a very common thing. So if we contextualize this with the fact that we are also very much undervalued compared to previous cycles, we can see that we have a pretty nice buying opportunity. As far as our market structure is concerned, we are still in a macro bullish uptrend. We have not set in a lower low or a capitulatory low that moves us below our previous all-time high of $74,000. That was our range high resistance for quite some time in 2024, and we're still trading well above it with the opportunity to retest it as support. Most of the time, you are not going to get such an ideal entry or an ideal retest of such an obvious level, but this could be a different period in time as we've very clearly broken below that $90K, $91,000 level. And guys, as long as we maintain that $74,000 level on the higher time frames and we can produce some bullish divergence here on maybe the daily time frame, that would be very encouraging, and that would show that there is still a lot of strength at a point that was one time resistance for us. So we have not lost that key level. We haven't even tested it yet. I still think there is plenty more that we need to see in terms of market structure and higher time frame market structure before we make any sort of direct calls. So by contextualizing this market cycle to previous market cycles, what we know to be pretty healthy and standard for a bull market, as well as the market structure that we have, there could very well be a nice buying opportunity here, and we at Top Tier Signals want to position ourselves accordingly. So once again, guys, if you want to find out how I'm strategizing and where I'm trying to position myself over the coming months, you can do so by joining the Discord in the description below. But anyhow, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the bear case for Bitcoin and whether or not this could actually be the start of a new bear market. Zooming out, it's very hard to ignore this monthly bearish divergence that we have on the RSI. We can see a very clear higher high in price between our January highs and our highs from March of 2024. And we can also see that we set in lower highs on the RSI. This is eerily similar to what happened in our last cycle where we set in a higher high in terms of monthly candle body closes, but we had the lower high on the RSI, and ultimately this did end up marking the cycle top, and we would not recover for a couple of years. Bitcoin has also been very heavily correlated to the S&P 500, and this should come as no surprise because the Bitcoin ETFs introduce a whole wave of more traditional investors who gain their Bitcoin exposure through the ETFs themselves and manage them alongside their stocks and other index funds. And we can see on the S&P 500 index some very clear multi-month bearish divergence on the weekly time frame. We have very similar market structure to what we had in 2020 and 2021 after after the influx of monetary stimulus and the big COVID bubble that we had, there are a lot of similar signs. We are seeing inflation come back in pretty sticky. The Fed has revised its schedule for cutting rates, and we are now no longer expected to have as many rate cuts as we were here in 2025. Just want to put that on your radar as well, that the S&P 500 looks very overvalued, and we're seeing some market structure that is consistent with some previous equity bubbles in the past. We should also be very mindful of narrative and the relationship that a narrative has with reality. We've seen 3 separate instances since the bottom in November of 2022 where Bitcoin and the broader crypto market has been carried by an ultimately positive narrative that drove price to new expansive highs. Whether it was the Bitcoin ETFs at the end of 2023 going into 2024, whether it was the Trump victory in November going into January where he actually was inaugurated, we can see how narratives are very important for encouraging investment and driving price forward until ultimately that narrative is baked into the price. And I think unfortunately here, when it comes to Donald Trump's presidency, this was one of those things that ended up becoming a sell the event, because we know that Donald Trump plans to be crypto friendly. That was something that he campaigned pretty heavily on, and that drove a lot of the optimism for markets when his victory was confirmed on November 5th. However, since we've taken office, we have not seen too much in terms of cryptocurrency that is anything different from what we've already known. We've had some nice positive shakeups in the SEC, but these things were already digested by markets for many months. We do not have news of a Bitcoin strategic reserve or really any sort of additional progress. And it's not to say that that will not come, but it simply suggests that the narratives that carried us into his inauguration can no longer carry us forward at this point in time, and we need something fresh and new. And that's a little difficult when you also have a lot of political turmoil. There's obviously a couple of wars in the Middle East. Donald Trump's recently imposed tariffs have people worried that inflation is going to remain sticky. It also kind of has us beefing with different countries, which is never favorable. There's a lot of bearish narratives at this moment in time, and at some point I do think we will see a clear deviation between the reality of the situation and the narrative that has been digested by markets, but I don't think we are at that point in time yet. So we talked about quite a bit in this video, and I just want to reiterate a thesis to kind of tie it all together, and that is simply that we do not have enough information just yet to conclusively say that this is the end of the Bitcoin bull market, or to say that this is simply a bull market correction. So for me, it's a matter of staying sidelined heavily in cash and waiting for opportunities to fully present themselves. And guys, if you want to find out my complete strategy and stay up to date with all of my moves, you can join the Discord down below. You'll get access to my calls as well as over 20 trading analysts between stocks, crypto, and Forex to better your trading game while you learn. So guys, check that out. And until the next video, I'll catch you in the Discord. Peace.